Hey everyone, I'm Mary Beth. I'm going to be talking about the PARS model and how that relates to group activities. So one thing that I learned in the PARS model was just how important processing is. We learned about it in class a little bit. Dr. Glass touched on it as well as the article and the video. But really, processing is where the learning starts. If you do a fun group activity where everyone's participating and you're having fun and you're really getting along, but you don't sit back and process that activity, there's no learning. It's just an experience and then nothing really comes of it. That's what I really started to understand by doing these readings, that processing is so important. Even though sometimes it may seem tedious or you're coming and asking these questions and they seem like obvious answers, they're really not. It's important to process what you did in the activity to understand why you did it and how you can apply it. So I plan on focusing on college counseling. So I see myself using the PARS model maybe in a group activity with college freshmen on campus, say during orientation week in a student union. I see having a group together of freshmen, maybe 10 or 20 people. I think freshman population is really interesting just because they're new on campus, there's a lot of things going on, but doing group work with them can be very beneficial just because you want them to learn how to interact with one another. That's exactly what the college experience is about. You're learning, you're interacting, and so maybe doing some group activities with this population can be important because they can take what they learn and take that outside of the activity, and they can take it into the classroom and into the dorms and remember how they interacted and what they learned from that. One activity that I like is called Deserted Island. You take a group of students, and you can just have one group, and you basically say, hey, your plane is about to crash, and you all have to come to a consensus and pick 10 things to take to a deserted island. Go. So this activity is cool just because it allows them to talk to one another, listen to one another. They may have to compromise. Someone may want to bring apples, but the other person says, I want to bring strawberries. Who wins out on that? How did their interactions work? How do they get to a final product? So after the group has come together and picked their 10 items, that's when we start to utilize the PARS model and really go through and process exactly what they did. So you start off with the reflecting. So that's more of the surface. So you come together and you say, okay, so what did you guys do? So you're basically talking about just the activity. You're not talking about anything further off or really in depth. Just what did you do for the activity? What did you say to one another? What role did you play? So it's all surface level, just about the activity. Then you dig a little bit deeper and you go into understanding. How well did the group work together? Questions like that. That's when you're starting to say, okay, well, we interacted well, or it was hard to come to decisions. So you're starting to process, okay, this is how it was doing this activity. Then you dig really deep, and then you go into the application and how you're going to apply this. So that's when you say, how can you apply what you learned today into your daily lives? What skills did you have with interacting with one another? How can you take that into a different environment? So those are important questions because that allows a freshman student to say, well, it was really hard for me to stand up for my ideas, and I need to do better about that because I have 4 years here at college and I'm going to need to learn to stand up for myself. Things like that come out, that's what the whole point of doing a group activity is about, is a group facilitator asks these questions to get down to the heart of the issue and take out what they did as a group and how can that student use that outside of that group activity. What I also like about the PARS model is that you don't have to necessarily move in a sequence. So if you're talking about reflecting, you can talk about reflecting. You don't necessarily have to go from reflecting about the activity to reflecting about the relationship to reflecting about the self. You can maybe start off with reflecting about relationships. Let's talk about the relationships first, or let's talk about applying this to yourself. But then we may move back and say, okay, now how can you apply this to relationships as a group? So that's one way you can modify this model. It allows you to kind of go with the group and listen to what they're saying and understand what they're saying and ask questions in relationship to what they're telling you. I really do like the PARS model just because, you know, it gives a group facilitator a way to initiate these conversations. It's very systematic. You know, you can't start applying knowledge before you reflect it. You have to reflect it first and then understand, and then you start to apply that knowledge. So it helps me as a facilitator understand what my steps are, how can I go about it to get out from the people in the group, you know, the heart of what they're there for is to get that good information and them and have them learn from the activity. So that's my say on the PARS model, and I'll see you guys in class. Thank you.